Okay, dear students, good morning to everyone. Am I audible to you people?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Okay, dear students, welcome to your compensation and reward system class, module 2, part 1. Okay, this module we are going to discuss on the internal alignment and structures and strategies with respect to your internal alignment of any organization with respect to the compensation and reward system. Okay, so here is a definition, very simplest definition and a very foremost thing because how strong that any organization's internal alignment is with respect to the pay structure, okay, and how best it is matching to the objective of organization and as well as the strategies which has been planned at the top management, how best this compensation, the internal alignment with respect to the compensation is helping you people in, applying those strategies and, working on the strategies. Okay, ultimately how they are going to help you people in reaching the organizational goal. Because purely, a motivation factor for any employees in the organization. Okay, basically will be on the basis of the compensation, the pay what those people receive as the people have discussed in your module 1, and also along with that, how fair a judgment has been taken by an organization while constructing a pay structure for different jobs at a different levels in the single organization or same organization. Okay, so with this small introduction, here we have a definition of internal alignment, what exactly it stands for. Sometimes we call this internal alignment as internal equity also. Because why we call this? Because like where it will be referring to the relationship, what you people decide upon the pay, okay, between jobs and the skills as well as the competencies in a single organization. Remember, the pay that we people are going to pay for different jobs, okay, and different competencies that employees are having, the skills which has been possessed by the employees over the jobs, a combination of all these. So having this combination, having certain standards set that how you people are going to assess the jobs and the skills and the competencies of the employees in a single organization, on which you people are going to build a structure of what pay has to be given to them. So there is something a relationship that you take a job, okay, or what pay has to be paid to the job. You take a skills if by possessing those skills uniquely by any employees in the organization, how those skills are going to be paid and why. And competencies usually how best those people are in giving productive work or output to the organization and helping the organization in achieving their goals. So sometimes on the basis of the contribution also, why that pay is fixed to the person with a certain amount of contribution what he is giving to the organization. Okay, so this is something like one side you keep a pay, the other side you people can make some adjustment into the job skills and the competencies, a combination of these three. Okay, and on the basis of the importance of job skill and the competencies, you people can decide upon what pay has to be fixed to it. Okay, it's a very simple concept. It is where single. You take any general manager of the organization, you take any CEO of the organization, you take an MD or a vice president. All are paid with a different salaries. Okay, different pay, and the structure. If you see their pay structure, it will be totally differing one. Because what happens is, the risk which is bear by the general manager, the risk which is bear by your CEO stands different. Okay, the MD or maybe a chairman, what those people take a pay, it will be much more higher than these two people. Because the entire responsibility of the organization, the risk associated with it is all everything is on their own shoulders. So it depends on the amount of risks and the responsibilities and the amount of contribution that those people give, okay, to the job what those people are doing. On that basis, the pay structure is decided. So we cannot expect that the same salary is paid to the MBA CEO as well as the general manager of the organization. No, it differs. Okay, on the basis of the level those people are into, okay, at what cadre those people are, as well as what level of risk those people take in helping organization to develop or grow. And sometimes what happens is, if you take different functional departments, okay, if you make a cross study of all the functional departments, sometimes finance, maybe head of the finance maybe not much paid than the head of the sales. Sometimes head of the research, head of the research and development department, where those people can have same level of responsibility. Okay, the position may be same, but still the salary differs on the basis of how much those people are taking the risk as well as the contribution. Okay, because high risk involved into sales where the money which has been brought from the market into the organization has to be paid back. So for that, what those people can do is who is majorly responsible of getting money into the organization, who generates money for the organization. Sometimes even this may be a type of a criteria that we people can take into consideration as an example now, where who will be giving or who will be bringing the income to the organization. Probably those people are highly paid compared to the people who do routine jobs. Okay, in the organization. Fine. So we have next something like the relationship form of pay structure where, as I told you, you just imagine that one side there will be a pay as well as the other side maybe, as I told you, the job skills and the competencies. So somewhere if you see that there's a relationship exists. Why the pay is or maybe we can say in the terms of research where pay is dependent on the job skills and the competencies. How much it is dependent, how much it is influencing. Sometimes in the reverse order, we can say that like pay, sometimes it will be influencing the people to have certain type of jobs, take certain type of responsibilities, and also taking certain I mean acquiring certain skills and the competencies. Fine. So as I told the relationships form a pay structure which can support the workflow of employees, and also employees will find that it is a fair one. Okay, if two employees will be paid different, and employees are made to know about that why the pay structure is given, or pay structure which has been set for those two people is different. So if both of them come to know why the amount of pay has been set to them, okay, on what basis, if that is clearly defined to those people, probably that will be fair to the employees as well as it will be directly affecting the behavior of employees towards the organization and its objectives. Okay, remember. So ultimately, the behavior of employees, sometimes it is going to be altering on the basis of the pay that has been paid to them, and how much people make them understand that what pay has been set to them on the basis of the criteria. So those criteria has to be clearly made them to understand. Then only we can say there is a pay structure. Okay. So as per the research, there is an influence of pay on job skills and competencies, as well as in reverse also the type of job skills and the competencies will be affecting the pay. Okay. Any doubt if people have here in this? I hope you people are clear. Anybody who has a doubt, make it fast. If you say yes or no, on that I can take a decision to go for the next slide.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. Okay. Chalo. Fine. So we have an example here. Okay. In an example of a job structure with respect to the engineering position. Okay, as an engineering positions. How any organization who has a more number of engineers into their organization, okay, how those people are going to have internal alignment. There's an example like it starts with an engineer, okay. The engineer will be having limited use of basic principles and close supervision is required for this person, because engineer usually once those people pass out from any engineering college with their own degree, they will be fresh people and will be having very basic knowledge about engineering and what exactly in a practical term happens in the on the job, but this is very less known by those people, and usually the closer supervision. If you just recall your management and organizational behavior subject, where usually we see to it that we are going to reduce the supervision, because reducing the supervision requires what, like generating a capability among the candidates who is working on the job, okay, giving them all sufficient directions to him, okay, and also helping them in developing strategies for his own job. So ultimately guiding him, having showing some good leadership, Okay, on that basis, we people can reduce the supervision by giving him extensive training on the related jobs. Okay, so this is one where as a fresher engineers will be getting some other. What I told you now, on this basis, the people are going to set a salary because more supervision leads to the cost of having that person in the organization, and that cost is paid by the organization. So to reduce that cost, the reduction in the pay will be given. Okay, reduction in the pay will be for any engineer. So next level is little bit higher, that senior engineer. Here where he will be using all the full standard principles and concept that he has learned at the time when he joined an organization as an engineer. Now with an experience where the general supervision will be done because he will be doing his job. Okay, not much supervision is needed. Generally, you are going to find a senior person who will be just looking after what a senior engineer is doing. Fine. So because of his experience, the reduction in the supervision comes into picture. And next position we have system engineer, who is something in a higher position compared to the senior engineer, where he will be having extensive knowledge because he has also passed to the stage of engineer, senior engineer, right? And there's a wide experience that because of the widest experience that he has, more number of applications and application of principles and concept, he has acquired. Where application we say here he will be applying the skill and competencies what he has already gained, knowledge what he has gained from his past years of experience on the job. He will be using it fully and extensively at the time when he is working on the task or given any given task to him. So that's why we say wide application of principles and concept, because he will be having knowledge that how any principles or concept which has been understood, how best we people can apply on the job. Okay, as well as I told you, plus working knowledge. Okay, then working knowledge with the other disciplines, he knows it better because when we talk about an organization, it's a group of people who will be running an organization with certain teams. Okay, and if we take any system engineer, he should know that how he should have a coordination with the other departments also. Even that knowledge is also very much required to be more efficient on the job. Okay. So here what is under under very general direction that any senior person to this system engineer will be giving him a general direction, because no need to be very specifically speaking to him on certain tasks due to the knowledge already he has it, and that exists into his work behavior. So we have next lead engineer, an example like applies extensive knowledge as a journalist or very specialist person, because once again, if I tell you, people are saying that he has also passed through all the stages of being an engineer, senior engineer, system engineer. Probably because of that rich knowledge what he has, he will be completely an expert and specialist in given task. So we have advisor engineer who knows almost all the type of principles. Okay, and he will be very knowledge with complete knowledge what he has on any certain task. If you ask those people, an advisor engineer, at any type of problem is occurred, okay, due to any hindrance or bottleneck in the process of production, or maybe taking certain decision on any type of task. Okay, they are very good enough because of the wide experience those people had, and more number of encounters those people had in the past with respect to many problems. Because of that, richest knowledge what those people have. Okay, because of more encounters with the problem, so they are in such a stage that they can advise anybody to solve a problem. Okay, so these people will be applying advanced principles and theories, and also the concepts. Okay, and moreover, here the assignments often self-initiated. These people are one, they know what is the problem and how best they can be solved. Sometimes those people come with a very creative one ideas where they do more R&D, right? So these people will be advising that what best possible way can be considered for doing this job in a different way. So he will be good enough as a more than a specialist. He will be helping them. At last, we have a consultant engineer where he will be, showcasing or exhibits and exceptional degree of ingenuity, or maybe a very creative person, and also resourceful person. Okay, and also he will be acting very independently to go, uncover and resolve the operational problems, as we people can also expect from advisor engineer. So this person will be something in the very top, and he knows almost all everything about the job which is related to the engineering. Fine. Okay. So that this was an example for that. Fine. And remember why I told you all these examples I explained, because if you see, okay, if you see the pay structure what we pay now for these people, something it will be, see, this is a very high, we say it as very high, okay, and it may be very low. Now there is something like, there will be a moderation, like, this will be a mediating one, fine, this will be a mediating one, where engineer will be paid lesser than the senior engineer, and also senior engineer will be paid lesser than system engineer on the basis of the work those people do. So this is all about your example. Fine. Okay. And this pay structure, what I told you, if you go to any organization on the basis of the seniority and the experience, okay, what those people have, they are going to be paid. And there will be no, opposition of, engineer by saying that the senior engineer is paid more, because they will be knowing that why those people are paid higher. Okay, any doubt? Any doubts? Okay. So we have next internal pay structure. What exactly this internal pay structure, refers as? Okay, when we are referring or defining this internal pay structure, we have to keep in the mind, okay, the level of pay rates which will be different for any work or a skills within a single organization. As I told you, people, internal alignment, where this structure, if you go through in any organization, okay, with respect to the internal one, here we are going to fix certain rates or pay for the work which has been carried out in the organization on the basis of, even on the basis of skills also, any person who is possessing to do that particular work. So as I told you, the number of levels, as engineer or senior engineer, fine. Okay. One, the number of levels we have, like as I told you, engineers or senior engineers, still consultant engineer. There are certain levels, and there will be a differences in the pay, whatever has been paid to them, as well as the criteria which people are going to use. What we say it as a standards. Remember, the standards we people fix to assess any job or a skills or a competencies of a person who is working on that particular task. Okay, those will be determining that what differences that can be created between different levels into the structure. So in a simpler way, if I say there will be a certain standard of assessing each job or a work given to the employees. Okay, on that basis, standard basis, we people will be defining what pay has to be paid to them. Okay, and what level that has to be considered, or maybe a similar pay to the levels, or maybe some differentials on the basis of the capability of a person who is working on that. Fine. So this includes what a criteria is used to determine those differences, which will be creating certain pay structure. So any employee who will be newly joining organization, he will come to know how the pay is paid to the people here. Okay, there will be no ambiguity much or confusion among them. Even it will be reducing the confusion which generates among the employees who is presently working in the organization. They will be very much clear about on what basis the pay has been fixed and how the reference has to be taken from different levels. Okay, so there are two factors which will be usually affecting, or which will be shaping, okay, the internal pay structure. The majorly we go with the external factors like economic pressure. Okay, so till this you people are okay now with your with the concept. Any doubts still here? Okay, so we have some external factors here, where economic pressure, maybe government policies and regulations. These government policies and regulations that we people have already discussed with your module one, stating that how the pay has to be fixed, how we people are going to define, or how people see pay compensation as. Fine. So even sometimes on the basis of legal requirement also, any organization has to follow the same the procedures which has been set, limits which has been set by the government, okay, or regulation bodies which are purely working on compensation. Okay. So we have something like economic pressure where it all depends on the labor market, how much the supply of labor is. Okay, the quality of labor. Sometimes what happens, there will be a huge competition for between the organizations to have the best, candidates into their, organization. Because the best people, the best human resource, which if they're possessing into the organization, that will be leading to the success of the organization because as I told you, how much compensation will be helping any organization to work on their strategies. Even the people who are selected and included into their own set of a group of employees who will be working for the organization. Those employees has to be selected on the basis of the capability and skills required to perform, okay, or achieve the objectives, perform the strategies of the organization. Fine. So what happens here is early theory concern more on very supply of the labor to explain the pay structure. What happens? It all depends on the demand and supply, where how much demand that industry and the organization has for a type of employees or candidates requirement, and whether those candidates are required or not. If they're looking for something like A type of candidates, if the A type of candidates are too plenty among plenty in the market and you have more choices. Okay, any organization will be having more choice in selecting those. Maybe we say it as a surplus. It's available. Demand is less and surplus is very high. Probably there will be fall of the labor market, and you people can expect that labors are available for competitive salary. But if in case demand is very high for certain type of candidates and those candidates are very less in the industry, so usually what happens, that pay sometimes depends on the external factors like the bargaining power of the employees or the candidates who will be joining the organization. Fine. So it all depends on the basis of need. Okay. And also now we have like an explaining the pay structure with the most famous being marginal productivity theory where the employees where on the basis of advantage of an input, the output will be very high. So maybe something like to make it more simple, like lesser output and output lesser input, and there will be more output on the basis of the human resource. Okay, what extra output any human resource gives to the organization with the advantage of limited or less input. Okay, it all depends on that marginal productivity theory where the people are paid on that. Then we have like government policies and regulations where human okay, human rights legislation will be usually putting pressure on the pay system. Okay, as well as it looks for that any discrimination will not be happening in the organization on the basis of a gender, as like a male or female or sexual orientation, maybe on the basis of religion, race, etc., national origin. Such type of discrimination will not be having, occurring into the organization, and this will be looked by your human rights legislation or any governing body which is concerned for that. And this, especially the Pay Equity Act, what we have, okay, by the government, which will be required to have equal pay for work which is giving you very equal value to the people. So here what happens, the work as well as the output in the form of value what is being given or to the organization. On that basis, you people are going to decide. So it is something like equal pay to the equal value what an organization has received. Sometimes value is also given on the basis of a skill, the effort which anybody has put on the job, and the responsibility what the person takes in improvising the job given to him, or whatever job in return whatever the job has given to him, in return what has to be given to the organization has been given by the person. Also sometimes on the basis of working condition, the pay is also decided sometimes on the basis of working condition. For example, like somebody is working into a steel factory near to the furnace, and there will be too much heat generated by the machines, and that will be having adverse effect on the health. So what happens, for example, like if there is a adverse effect on the health, the organization can give those employees will be working at that particular, in those particular area, and any adverse effect which those people receive due to this bad condition. For that they can be given a medical facility, whatever medical expenses is been borne by them and their family because of this condition. Even that medical facility, I mean the money will be returned to them. Okay, or maybe sometimes the free of cost those people will get a treatment from selected hospitals which has been specified by the organization. This may be one example for that on the basis of the condition, working condition. So even stakeholders as in external factors will be influencing any organization. Okay, in deciding upon the pay structure. For example, unions. Okay, the labor unions or employees unions into the organization, they will be having much more power being into the team, and they can bargain with they can bargain with the organization, stating that this level of pay has to be paid. Sometimes this depends on the inflation rate of the country where inflation is very high, and the pay which those people are getting from the organization is not so much sufficient in matching their it will not be matching to the expense of day-to-day livelihood. Fine. And what happens is like sometimes the political groups, okay, directly or indirectly will be influencing and having some stake over formulating the internal pay structure, have some power in exerting their power into giving certain opinions about, okay, the decisions with respect to the pay. So even we have a culture and customs where this was usually discussed in the initial class of module one, where how people look compensation as. Okay, even these people are also a type of stakeholders who will be defining what exactly the compensation is and how those people look it as. So we have like cultures and the customs where this is something a mental type of processing that any people will be having, and they will be sharing into the common among the people, right? Anybody who comes from certain type of cultures will look for that the pay is suiting their culture. Fine. The expenses what those people bear, and how those people react to the type of a type of compensation paid to them, and how those people decide upon whether this pay given to them is fair or not. It all depends on completely a mindset these people have among them on the basis of the cultural influence. Fine. Okay. So till here, any doubts if people have? Any doubts? Any doubts? Okay. So next we have internal okay. Next we have organizational factors, or maybe you can say it as internal factors, where pay structure sometimes completely depends on the strategy of the organization. As I told you, people know basically the belief that any strategic perspective, take it. Okay, the pay structure usually depends on what level of strategies has been decided in the top management, or maybe take in the middle management or functional management. Those strategies how best can be worked out with the help of the human resource. And sometimes strategies will be bargaining certain type of risk associated with it has to be taken by the employee, and the skills which is required and experience. Because of that, sorry, we can suit a human resource of people on the basis of the type of strategy decided. Okay, so they will be very specifically selected in executing the strategy. Fine. So it says that the structures that are not aligned with the organized strategy can become very difficult, or abstract, or very bottleneck for any organization to succeed. What I told you. So any strategy developed has to be directly aligned with the human resource and the pay. Okay. If the pay is given to such type of people on the basis of the risk those people take, and probably the success of the organization is possible. So next we have like organizational human capital. This is something a very major influence on in your internal structure, that what level of maybe a combination of human resource those any organization is holding on the basis of like maybe education, the education level of the people who are in the organization, the experiences, okay, the experience which the people into the organization have, the knowledge, okay, and how the knowledge has been transferred from generation to generation in the organization, then the abilities and skills required to perform the job. So if these are what I said, no, like education, experience, knowledge, ability, and skills are very high with the human uh, capital or resource what you people have with your organization, probably the pay structure will be little higher as well as very strong. So this the the very stronger link that has between your skills, experience, and the organizational strategic objective, the more that you people have to pay those people. Fine. So they will be commanding because on the basis of the skill and experience those people have, and there will be a surety from their side that whatever has been set as a strategy will be implemented properly, and the organizational objective is achieved. So we have next, like organizational design of the work. For example, like if you use the organization has a technically very sound into their operations, okay, and the goods which has been produced, or or maybe a service which has been rendered on the basis of technology, and on the basis of completely a human interference. Probably the organizational design changes here. Fine. So there will be a difference that for completely automated organization, maybe you take or not automated organization, okay, which works on purely human resource. So there is a difference between the design also changes here. So any work which has been performed and the skills which you has to be required or possessed by any person on the job to perform it. Okay, on that basis also we people are going to work. Fine. The pay structure is decided. So we have overall HR policies, the amount of the pay which has been tied to a promotion, maybe, okay, like on the basis of the lateral, that means what, the creativity what those people show, the development what those people, contribute, okay, I mean, how those, the people's of, say, employees' contribution will be developing in an organization, and what is the greater responsibilities any person takes on the job, it depends on that. So this HR policies are very predefined and told at the time of induction. Okay, any changes in case happens in between also it has been communicated to the employees and the consent is taken from them. On that basis, the pay differences must be consistent in what the organization is trying to accomplish. So this also talks about what exactly the target has been set by the organization for its own performance and accomplishment of the objective. Okay, and also the pay structure which will be tied on the basis of, I mean, decided on the basis of HR policies. Fine. Okay. So we have, I think, okay, we have even internal labor market. Fine. This we will discuss in your next class. Fine. I think for this is enough because module 2 is very smallest one. I think 2 or 3 classes is more than enough for that. Okay. So any doubts that you people have still here? Any doubts you people have?
No, sir.
Okay, fine then. So shall I wind up the class? Shall I wind up the class? Okay.
Yes, sir.
You all people have a nice day today. Fine.